Welcome to episode number 39 of the Piscapod. I am your host, Sasha. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a minute since I've been on here, and that's because I've been booted off the socials once again for a stretch of 30 days. So I've been laying low and keeping my nose to the grindstone about what's going on in the world, and thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate it. So where do we start? It's been a while, like I said. So are you folks out there ready for COVID 2.0? Because that's what the fear-mongering and the legacy media is doing. COVID 2.0, this time it's called Hanta virus. Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably seen it all over the news and everybody parroting the same thing at the same time, all the news outlets. So it turns out that there was a cruise ship destined sailing from Argentina, where the story is that a bunch of people that were bird watching at a landfill. That's the story that I heard. Bird watching at a landfill caught this Hanta virus, which is commonly spread by rats and rodents. It's usually animal to human transmission. It's a very rare thing that it's gone human to human, but here we are. So this boatload of people have been infected with the Hanta virus, dozens of people. I think there was 3 deaths from it already. It's apparently a pretty deadly disease when it spreads human to human. Symptoms are it fills your lungs with fluids and basically you drown, or it feels like you're drowning. So probably not a good way to go. And coincidentally, there was a story in the media about 2-3 weeks ago that a virology lab in Australia reported that it was missing 322 vials of viruses. Reports have confirmed that some of those vials contained this Hanta virus. Now, again, it's just a conspiracy so far. It doesn't necessarily mean that these vials are associated with the latest outbreak that's going on. But, again, it's always this coincidence, right? We're still dealing with the non-release of the Epstein files. And it seems like the Epstein class, they're going to go through great lengths in order to keep this shit hidden from the public. And, I mean, look around you. We've, Trump has put his personal lawyer into the position, and first thing he said was that there's going to be no more investigation into the Epstein files because there's nothing to see. If that doesn't distract, the common folk from demanding the release of these names and stuff like that, we've gotten into a war. Say what you want, but we went from bombing the Iranians and obliterating their nuclear program to, that they're going to have a nuke that can hit the continental United States within a month or within 2 months. But that's kind of the same story that we've been hearing from good old Netanyahu for the past 20 years. The Iranians have been on the cusp of a nuclear armament for the past 20 years. And if you don't believe me, just Google the timeline. It's like every year that guy wants to go to war, he's talking about the same thing about how the Iranians are on the verge of nuclear annihilation of the Western world. Now, having said that, I'm not a pro-Iranian supporter of Hamas or ISIS or whoever, whatever puppet regime we put up in place when we do a regime change. I mean, the past 25, 30 years should show everybody that every time we do a regime change, nothing really changes. And in most cases, the situation of the vacuum that's created and the people that are moving into the place of the regime that's just been changed, in many cases, is far worse than the one that's been changed. By all reports, the Iranians are part of the nuclear proliferation agreement, and coincidentally, the Israelis are not. And you never really hear the Israelis talk about the nukes that they have because not we, but America would have to stop any and all aid to them because I believe it's written in legislation that they're not allowed to provide financial aid to anybody that is not part of the nuclear proliferation agreement. So that's why it's always been on the wink wink side of whether the Jews have nukes or not, because they clearly do. They've threatened to annihilate, parts of Europe in the past. The Samson Accord that they have is that there's like a death trigger that if there's any indication that Israel is at risk of elimination, that they're just going to lob nukes in all four corners of the world and literally annihilate everybody. But anybody that talks about shit like that, they're anti-Semitic, right? So that's where we are with that. Like I said, back to the Hanta virus, that ship was quarantined off the coast, and I don't know, maybe I'm an asshole, but if that was me and this was like something as serious as the media makes it out to be, I probably would have just sunk that ship, to be perfectly honest with you. But nope, they have since moved infected people onto land. There has been a spread in some cases. One of the flight attendants that was on an airplane with one of the survivors has since caught it. This flight attendant hails from Amsterdam, which is a pretty busy airport hub in Europe. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, the news media, the legacy media, they are in full force of advertising this, not advertising, but fear-mongering. So here we go. The fear-mongering continues. In other news, if you watched that inbred King Charles wrapped up in dead animals and jewels that his family stole and pillaged from all four corners of the earth, they have rolled out the digital ID. So that is coming in full force. And of course, it's for everyone's safety and for everybody's well-being. And it's to access social programs. It's just another way for these globalists to take control. And in the UK, it seems like they're all hell-bent and moving forward with it. There have been massive protests this weekend in the UK, literally hundreds of thousands of native Brits taking to the streets, and they want their country back. So, we pray for our English brethren, and we hope that they can take their country back without violence, but I'm all for that. If you need to roll up your sleeves and start crushing skulls, it's time. It's high time that we start crushing skulls. Here in Canada, we got the Bill C-22, which has caused massive fallout. Many huge corporations that Spotify, as well as a few other large corporations, have already stated that if this bill comes to pass, that they're going to be packing up and heading to bluer skies, if you will. Bill C-22, it's called the Lawful Access Act. And what it does is it gives the government sweeping powers to basically nullify digital privacy. Basically, they can freeze you off the internet. They will be able to see all of your posts, all of your text messages, anything digital. And I mean, I don't know what to tell you, folks. Like, I don't know how much farther, at least me and my fellow Canadians, how much farther are we going to let this go before we start doing something? You know, we go back to how Carney was elected. He wasn't elected. He was just a globalist puppet that was put into place under our nose and literally against our will. His track record since he's been in power is abysmal. If anybody out there can name anything positive that he's done for the country so far, please drop me a line and let me know that I'm wrong. But it's been pretty abysmal. He was recently in closed door meetings with George Soros' son and former U.S. President Barack Obama, because there's nothing weird about that. They banned cameras and recorders from parliamentary meetings. Again, because there's nothing weird about that, nothing to see here. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to think that these people have forgotten who the fuck they work for. They work for the people of Canada, right? We should be private citizens, and they should be under this C-22 bill where we know everything that they're doing and who they're talking to and, where they're traveling to and what connections they're hooking up with. We, the people, should know this shit, not the other way around. Like, what the fuck is going on here in Canada? And not just in Canada, in many parts of the world, this is happening. Our immigration is still uncontrolled and through the roof. The government has now set up an app where immigrants, they can just go online and fill out a bunch of questions for their citizenship or their fast tracking of citizenship. The Liberal government has also brought forth that they want to fast track over 33,000 temporary foreign workers into citizenship. And, there's Canadians, born and raised Canadians, that are struggling to make ends meet and to find a job, but we're fast tracking workers from foreign countries. What is going on? It's a slap in the face to my fellow Canadians. It's a slap in the face to the immigrants that have come here legally and have gone through, at times, a lengthy process in order to get their residency. And I think it's high time that we start doing something about it. We are getting hammered here in Alberta, left, right, and center. Our independence referendum has been temporarily sidelined, and I say temporarily because it's far from over. And the Elbows Up gang, they were dancing in the streets. That Trudeau-appointed federal judge quashed our independence application, if you will, for the referendum vote in October, because we didn't consult with the Indigenous folks about what was going on. Again, another fucking weird thing, because, consult with them. What, they don't own television sets or, devices where they can get their news from. I mean, this Alberta independence movement has been news fodder all over the world. But I guess the Alberta Indians, they really didn't know too much about it. And so we had one chief, a shady fella, allegedly. He's been busted drunk and fighting outside casinos. And he's been linked to scamming money from his people. And, of course, now that the gravy train might run out, now all of a sudden he's a big fan of the federal government. So, surprise, surprise, right? Yeah, but it's just a shit show. But like I said, folks, it's far from over for Albertans. We are on the cusp here of we're going to take back our province one way or another. I feel that in my bones. There's an electricity in the air that I think that many Albertans are ready for revolt against the federal government, against the government in general. We got that chubby cocksucker Naheed Nenshi. He's all over the news, spreading lies like he does, that filthy sodomite. And God bless our Premier Danielle Smith. She's fighting tooth and nail. She believes that this federal judge that has sidelined temporarily our petition for separation. We needed 170,000 signatures. We got over 300,000. And statistics show that even amongst the Indigenous people, over 46% of the Indigenous people are pro-separation. Or at the very least, we want more autonomy as a province. Carney and Danielle Smith signed another MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. Again, another fucking useless piece of paper that get the fuckwits that are out there to kind of calm down and relax. But it'll have the same effect that the last MOU had, which was nothing. Carney basically said that he's going to build the pipelines to the west as long as the Premier of British Columbia and the Indigenous people agree with it. So, I mean, the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim to none. It's actually less than that. It's zero, because that douchebag in BC, that Eby, I guess is his name, the premier, that guy is such a woke douche nozzle. It's not even funny. But, so that's what's going on in my home country. In true fashion, for my friends that have been to Alberta or are from Alberta or are currently residing here in Alberta, everybody knows that the May long weekend is, weather-wise, is a mixture of shit show and disappointment. And in true May long weekend Alberta fashion, this weekend has been no different. The lead up to the weekend, we had temperatures in the mid-70s, 26, 27 degrees, just beautiful out. Friday, it was a little cooler, partly cloudy, but still relatively warm. 68 degrees kind of thing for my American friends. Nice weather. And by Saturday morning, we had hurricane winds, torrential downpour, and a blanketing of snow, all in the same day, folks. And here we are Sunday, and we had cool weather in the morning. I look a little disheveled because I actually, it got nice enough that I went for a dip in the pool and swam around for a couple of hours, and the wind is kicking up, and it's pretty chilly out there again. So I'm sure we're gonna get another downpouring of rain, but I'm okay with it because it's greening everything up really nicely. It's making my lawn in the backyard that has been decimated by the meatballs. It's given it a fighting chance. I put some seed down, and I'm hoping that shit grows in because I'm tired of the mud and the dead grass being tracked through the house. But that's what's going on here in the foothills of the Rockies, Sin City Sound, where I'm broadcasting out of. And, yeah, what else do we got going on in the news? Good old Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's love child. The Daily Wire is circling the bowl and tanking in a big way. They've laid off over 50% of their staff by initial reports, and they call it restructuring. But again, anybody that's following their spiral down the toilet can see that it's clearly not a restructuring campaign. It's because they're sucking hind tit. Like a smart man once said, you can spend $1 billion on dog food commercials, but if the dogs won't eat it, it ain't going to sell. And little Jewy Ben Shapiro, his dog food ain't selling, man. The dogs aren't eating it. And I mean, it's a pretty sobering decline at how fast this channel is circling the bowl. I mean, once upon a time, it was the biggest, richest, and most substantial conservative podcast in the ecosystem. It was huge, millions upon millions of views. And if you've gone on to even the Ben Shapiro show lately, he's lucky if he's getting 1,000 views per episode. So it's a monumental decline. I mean, it was once the #1 English language conservative publisher on Facebook. It was huge. Huge, huge, huge. And his America Last and Israel First nonsense that he's spewing left, right, and center. Everybody that isn't for Israel and the genocide and the horrendous things that they're doing in this war is anti-Semitic. And I guess the Goyams, they don't care about being called anti-Semitic anymore. They're sick and tired of the bullshit, the endless war. I believe Donald Trump is also getting sick. He's a smart guy. You may not like him, but he's no dummy. And I think he realizes that he was duped in getting into this Iran war. Netanyahu and his team promised it was like an easy in and out, I'm sure. And here we are a couple months in, and the Strait of Hormuz is still not open. Almost all the American military bases that are stationed in the area from our Gulf Coast allies, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, places like that, they have been, if not leveled, they have been significantly damaged and hindered. Again, the Strait of Hormuz is still not open. Gas prices globally are skyrocketing. No signs of going down. And, the longer that the United States is embroiled in this no-win conflict, if you will, we're going to feel the effects of it many months, if not years, down the road. Because even if the Strait of Hormuz were to open like tonight, I believe that the global market is down 150 billion barrels of oil compared to what it would have been if the strait and the markets were fully open. So that's going to have huge global impacts on economies, on food prices, and of course the poorer countries are going to suffer the most, right? Fertilizer, if you can't get fertilizer, food is going to have shortages, and the food that is available is going to be priced through the roof. And I'm sure everybody that's listening out there is feeling the pinch on that. So sadly, again, I'm back after my 30-day hiatus from social media, and there's still no good news. I don't know if any of you caught the Tucker Carlson show where they interviewed Zelensky's personal assistant, press secretary, or whatever she was. She had a fairly significant role in his cabinet, and she was on there spilling the tea about Zelensky, about his money laundering, his cocaine use, and how secretly he's taking the money and telling Ukrainians that they're not ready for a democracy yet, and until they are, that dictatorship is law. That's the law of the land over there. She told about how he came into power as the president of peace, promoting peace in the region, and then as soon as he was elected and the money started filtering in from the globalists, he flipped like a floundering fish. He was actually working in Moscow for a propaganda channel. He held secret meetings with Putin, swearing that he would never become a part of NATO. And then, secretly, he's talking about stuff like that. But on the global stage, he's talking about wanting to join NATO. So, it's not hard to see why the Russians are invading them. And again, by no coincidence, there's been so many casualties on the Ukrainian side that a good portion of native Ukrainian men that were living in the area, they have either fled the country to avoid being nabbed off the street and driven to the front lines. Even in my own life, I have many cool Ukrainians that are working here in Calgary that I know, hardworking guys, and wanting to make a better life, and so they're here, not fighting on the front lines. The ones that stayed behind, many of them have been casualties of this war, to the point where Zelensky was on TV the other day talking about how he's going to open the Ukrainian borders to foreigners because there's no men there to work. So, surprise, surprise. All sorts of shit came out in that interview with Tucker Carlson about, how he was vacationing in one of his summer homes in Crimea, which was at the time controlled by the Russians, right? So he was going back and forth, free as a bird, smoking weed, doing coke, and like I said, on December 2019, he had the conversation with Putin about how he was never going to join NATO, while publicly pining to join. His many of his cabinet ministers are under investigation now for money scamming and money laundering. Like 2019 and 2020, his popularity was dropping so significantly that he had to hire a PR team in order to what he called demanding the delivery of Joseph Goebbels brand propaganda, where you tell a lie en masse enough times that eventually everyone will believe it. Insiders in his office state that Zelensky is unelectable if he was to run for office again. His ratings are so poor, while European and Canadian leaders keep propping him up. I mean, Canada alone, Carney just sent another couple of billions of dollars to Zelensky, even though everybody that's in the know and is following this knows that he is skimming money. There's been reports of his erratic behavior. It was causing unreported tensions within the circle of international leaders. $2.1 billion of the first payments of money that when it came in, he fired all his national bank overseers and installed like a puppet cabinet that was overseeing the money coming in from foreign countries such as Canada, such as the United States, such as the European Union. He destroyed reform legislation designed to curb corruption. That's why the Biden administration dropped sanctions against the Nord Stream pipeline. The Russian Nord Stream pipeline is because they knew that if they didn't drop the sanctions, that the Russians were going to leak about all the information and facts that they had about Zelensky's corruption. He paid dark money to his parliamentary supporters, jailed his opponents, some of which are still in jail. But, you don't hear about that on Western media very much because it would make you wonder, why are we sending money to this guy? He doesn't seem any better than a lot of these dictators and tyrants that we're doing regime change on. But I guess if it's for the globalist agenda, everybody turns a blind eye. There's been verified reports of him skimming money of the incoming funds that are supposed to be going to arm his people and abroad. Insiders have talked about his mafia level thuggery, and we're still giving money, more and more money. Like I said, jailing the opposition, human rights violations. Literally, you must have seen the videos of him grabbing people off the street and shipping them without any training, without any provisions to the front lines, basically for to get killed by the Russians. Any dissension within his ranks was punished severely. There was campaigns within Ukraine where donations were taken from citizens for food, uniforms, weapons. And meanwhile, we're sending hundreds of millions and billions of dollars from all over the world in order to help him fight those commie Russians, right? So, journalists who are critical, they got grabbed on the street, shipped to the front lines. Interference from foreign leaders, was frowned upon by nations such as the United States and at the time Boris Boris Johnson, I was going to say Yeltsin, but Boris Johnson of the UK. And they don't report it in Western media, but the leaders of, the EU and Canada and these countries that are funding this Zelensky, they're fully aware of the fraud that's going on, but they can't come out and say anything about it because, here in Canada, we've given untold billions of dollars to this Ukrainian cause. Imagine what the people would do if they found out that Zelensky's been skimming money and scamming and dividing it out amongst his buddies and stuff like that in a big fraud money laundering scheme. And imagine what what Canadian or what U.S. citizens or what any right-minded people of the world would do if they found out that our hardworking tax dollars are going to fund these money laundering corruption schemes. France, to give you an idea of what they don't tell you and what's going on behind the scenes, France was one of the biggest buyers of Russian energy in the EU. There was no media reporting that, right? Everybody's like, oh, Russia bad, Ukraine good. France was one of the biggest buyers of Russian energy during all of this. And they would then turn around and sell it to places like Germany. Are you folks starting to wake up out there that this is all just a fucking scam run by these scoundrels and, and we're just puppets that are a means to an end? They don't want us smart, critical thinking people. That's why they attack our school systems. That's why the Chinese children are learning like math and algebra and physical fitness and stuff like that. And here in the Western world, your children are learning that Kevin has two dads, and men can be women and women can be men. And if you stand up and punch someone in the nose because he's disrespecting you, that's toxic masculinity, and that needs to be quelled. This is the shit that's going on. Like I said, Zelensky, it's always been rumored from that plane ride with Macron where he's hiding the baggie of blow. Those of us that have been around this block a few times, we've known all along that guy's like whiffing the powder. You can just tell. And insiders that are now fleeing his stranglehold were saying that he had all the telltale signs of a full-blown addict, from his irrational mood swings to his crazy outbursts, and then he'd go into the bathroom for 15 minutes and come out like a new man and fully energized. And you can see from a mile away, we've known it all along. But, the Western media and stuff, they poo-poo it, right? Oh, it's a conspiracy theory, and you guys are all crazy, and we're not crazy. We're waking up. So, not much else I can tell you. There's this palpable uprising that's brewing all over the world. Like I said, in the UK, hundreds of thousands of people, they want to take back the UK. Many places in the EU, it's the same thing. You're starting to see increased violence against immigrants. And, not all the immigrants are bad people, but everything that they've been broadcasting so far. Even in Italy just the other day, another Islamist ran his car into a group of people just out and about enjoying their weekend, jumped out of the car and started, brandishing a knife and trying to stab people until some brave Italians stepped in and boot fucked this guy into oblivion. And we are seeing an increase of that all over the world. Here in Calgary recently, we had some filthy jeet lighting grass fires just for no reason, because I guess that's what they do in their shithole that they slithered out of. And starting grass fires, right? Because forest fires here in Alberta and BC aren't enough when they get caused by lightning or some idiot throwing a lit cigarette butt out the car window. We have to have our imported voters that are using a 99-cent Bic lighter to burn everything to the fucking ground. Thankfully, he was jumped and arrested. But the accidents, the extortion that's going on, again, here in Calgary, recently 4 people of Indian descent, all in their under 30, were all busted and charged with extortion using handguns and violence. They probably won't see a day in jail because some Trudeau-appointed judge will probably feel sorry for them and let them out of jail with a fucking reach around and a fucking rim job. You know what else I find really fascinating that's been in the news of late is this big push for all these data centers. You guys following this shit? Kevin O'Leary, Canadian guy, he was kind of pigeonholed on the Tucker Carlson podcast recently because he is building a 40,000 acre. You heard that right, acre. A 40,000 acre data center in Utah. Now, I urge my listeners, you got to check out this Tucker Carlson interview because the logistics behind this data center are just mind-boggling. Okay? This data center is going to be bigger than Manhattan. It is going to use roughly 9 gigawatts of power. To give you an idea of how much power that is, that's more than the entire state of Utah. Every television, air conditioner, heating unit, plug-in for your electric vehicle, it's more than the entire state of Utah uses. Like it's just unbelievable the magnitude of power that this thing is going to consume. And water. Of course, it needs water. And they've already been given tax breaks from Utah, from the state of Utah, in order to put this data center in that location. But I ask you, where's the environmentalists, man? Are you guys realizing now that this climate change has been a fucking hoax from the get-go? Because I don't see anybody protesting these data centers. Why? Probably because the Soros of the world aren't paying these protesters to fucking, picket the data center going up like they do the oil sands in Alberta or a coal mine in West Virginia, right? They're not paid to protest this, so there's no protesters. There is hardly any major pushback from this data center alone, much less the thousands of them that are going up all over the continental United States. That O'Leary is actually thinking of building one here in Alberta. And And as Tucker Carlson so eloquently put it, what are these data centers for? Right? And the only answer O'Leary could offer, well, do you want to beat the Chinese, or do you want to, suck hind tit to the Chinese? And again, he couldn't really articulate as to what these data centers are for. Everybody in the domain of AI is talking about that this could eliminate 50% of median earning jobs, meaning the middle class people. Everything is going to be automated. You're not really going to need things like lawyers, because you can just go online and it'll literally search case law and, prior trials for answers that you may get. I've recently had my AI cherry popped by my Ukrainian friends that I deal with. I'm on ChatGPT, and as frightening as it is, it's fucking amazing. It really, really is. I wanted to put, just for shits and giggles, an updated resume, job history, and I plugged in a few parameters, and within less than 5 minutes, this thing spit out 2 or 3 versions of downloadable PDFs that once upon a time, unless you knew how to write a good resume, you'd actually have to farm it out. There was actually businesses advertised, well, we'll do up a resume for you, right? And it cost $50 or whatever, and they would do up this professional resume. Now you don't need it. Now you just need 5 minutes of time and a bit of info. My podcast artwork, within 30 seconds, I'll be like, episode 39 of the Piscapod, covering such and such and such a topic. Do it in these colors, and within 30 seconds, it'll spit out a couple of images that are awesome. I mean, I'm using them on my YouTube channel, right? Because it kind of spices things up and it gives it a bit of change, which I've been informed, Andy, thanks, that it gets more viewers, and it actually does. It spices things up. But again, that's all AI. There was something that I was asking the other day, and I thought, I'm going to ask ChatGPT, and boom! Oh, it was about the meatball and his raw food diet. I wasn't having real issues, but Nico, he's a picky eater, and especially breakfast. He loves his supper, but especially breakfast. Sometimes I'll eat and sometimes I won't. And, so I asked ChatGPT, like, what's up with that? And, what kind of breed is it? How much does he weigh? And this fucking thing, within 5 minutes, spit out this comprehensive list of things that I should be looking at, things that I should be checking out. And I'll be darned that, some of the advice that it gave, I took, and it's worked out swimmingly. It's not this mundane kind of like glossed over with a big brush kind of thing that, I didn't think about that. It was like detailed stuff. It was asking me, okay, what are you feeding the dog? And, I told ChatGPT what I'm feeding the dog, and in every bag of raw food that I get from the, manufacturer, they put a card in there, and it gives me like the percentage of organ meat, the percentage of bone, the percentage of tripe, the percentage of this, the percentage of that, and I gave all that information to ChatGPT. And one of the things that it said, which I would have never thought, it seems to me that, due to the percentage of this and the percentage of that, it seems like a very high fatty protein content. And he says, and German Shepherds are a notorious breed that have finicky stomachs, but if he's ever had an upset stomach, he will associate this fatty content or whatever with him not feeling that good and probably have an aversion to it. And I thought, well, that's pretty fucking specific, right? For a computer that's never met my dog. And it suggested that some German Shepherds, they fare better like as a once a day eaters. It gave me the benefits of feeding once a day. In many cases, dogs tend to live longer if they're only eating once a day. Like their body isn't constantly, churning and breaking down proteins. But that because Shepherds and barrel-chested dogs in general are notorious to suffer from a condition called bloat, where their stomach inverts, and which in many cases, unless you get them to the vet like ASAP, is fatal. So it suggested that, or it stated that multiple feedings a day are better for the dog in that aspect, right? Because it's going to be less prone to bloat because you're not feeding them that much food in one shot, right? And a dog Nico's size, he's just over 2, but he's a big dog, right? He's like pushing 100 pounds. So for him on his raw diet, he's eating about 2 pounds of food a day, right? So that gets broken up into, it was a pound in the morning and a pound in the afternoon. And then, with his finicky eating, it was like a little less in the morning. He kind of like me. I'm not a big eater for breakfast, right? I would rather have, a hearty lunch or a hearty supper and maybe a light breakfast or whatever. But anyway, long story longer, this ChatGPT suggested if you want to feed them twice a day, try a really lean protein. Bison, turkey like breast, and I'll be damned. I just happened to, I went to Costco and bought this giant tube of ground turkey, and I portioned that out into about half pound baggies, sandwich baggies that I freeze, and I take them out the night before and thaw them and feed it to them. And I'll be damned if that sucker isn't, going hard on breakfast now again. So, I get the benefits of this AI. I really do. I was asking it for shits and giggles some shit about my car. And in regards to oil filters and stuff. And not only did it tell me what kind of oil filter that I needed, but it gave me links to where I could get it, the cheapest, and offered to order it for me. Right? So I do see the benefits of that, but, I'm a little leery about all these data centers that are going up because, they're not going up free of charge because, the powers that be and the corporations that are funding this give a shit about Sasha and the meatballs. Do you know what I mean? and what I should be feeding my dogs. I don't believe that for 1 second. I'm a firm believer that these things are the infrastructure for. And again, O'Leary was talking about, well, do we want China to be first, or do we want to be first, right? So when I look at what China is doing with their AI systems, so far there's really only 2 countries on the planet that are using this AI in full force, and that's Russia and China. And both those countries aren't using them for the benefit of the people. Right? It's a massive state surveillance system where every license plate, every facial recognition, every time that you send a text message, all of this stuff is all going to be mined information and data that's going into these data centers, right? So we are on the cusp of becoming slaves again. Because with the digital ID that they're all horny and implementing, they are literally going to be able to, if they don't like what you're doing, if they don't like what you're saying, any dissension, they are literally going to be able to control you in anything that they do. If you don't want to get a vaccination, they'll fucking turn off your money. Okay, you can't feed your family until you're all vaccinated. Right? If you're critical of what the government is doing, they'll, prevent you from being able to run your car. They're already saying that some of the 2027, 2028 models are going to be outfitted with things like onboard breathalyzer machines, that if the car thinks that you're impaired or too tired or you're under the influence of drugs, that it just won't start. Now, right, they tout that as, well, it's for your safety. And in a way you can see, nobody wants drunkards, sauce donkeys on the road killing people. I get that, but this is how they baby step the shit into place. Oh, yeah, it's, we're going to prevent drunks and stuff from being on the road. Oh, you said something bad about your government? I guess you can't fucking drive. They'll just turn off your money. If they want you eating bugs and no meat, your money just won't work when you go to buy something that isn't bugs and something that's meat. If they don't want you to travel because there's some sort of fucking restrictions that they want, well, then your money won't work, your car won't work, and you're just forced to stay home. Unless you're going to fucking do the old-fashioned way and footmobile it around. But that again, right? Your cell phones won't work. You're going to be able to be tracked on every license plate reader and corner camera. We're living in a pretty dystopian world, folks. And it's, it's not going to get any better until we rise up. And like I said, I think there's this electricity in the air that shit's about to hit the fan. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to leave you at that, something to mull over. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry that it's been a few weeks since I've been on here. Again, I'm with summer in the air. I am probably going to be doing an episode every 2 weeks, unless something very important is coming up where I have to do a weekly. I'm going to try to get the weeklies done, but, with 2 German Shepherds and nice weather here in these parts, you got to make hay while the sun is shining. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate all your support. And thanks for all the calls and emails wondering where the hell I've been. like I said, I was kicked off the socials. But I'll be honest with you, this unintentional break from the social medias is actually pretty refreshing. You don't see how negatively you're influenced until I could still read the socials and stuff like that, but I couldn't post anything, so I wasn't really going on to on the socials reading either, and it made a big difference for me mentally. I mean, I've been doing a lot of swimming and getting out with the dogs. I got everything packed up already. Tomorrow, me and the wife and the meatballs, we're going to head out to the mountains, Canmore area, for the day and do a bit of hiking, do a bit of searching for our campsite, stuff like that. And, yeah, so again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. We will talk to you soon. See ya.
Yo, the curtain drops, watch the show unfold. Puppets on a string, ain't no truth to be told. From Carney up north to Trump in the White House, they all played a role while the shadows pull the strings, taking control. Secret societies, they laughing in the dark while we fighting against each other, they just feed the spark. Putin flexing hard, Zelensky keeping it real. Netanyahu's always lying, begging America, crying, what the fuck's the deal? We falling in the chaos, but they pulling the strings. Ain't no real leaders, just thugs and their bling. Keep us divided, that's the ultimate plot. No matter who's in charge, we all just puppets getting shot. Getting shot, getting shot, getting shot, getting shot, getting shot. Katy Perry kissed a girl while Trudeau's in the mix. Got her by speaking moistly while Canada's elbows down. Asses up, taking America's dick. Ooh, shit. Carney's always scheming, making moves in the dark while the world's distracted by his bullshit remarks. He whispering sweet nothings, keeping the plot thick. Canada's his bitch bent over, this damn country's going to shit. Country's going to shit, shit, shit. We ballin'! We ballin' in the chaos, but they pulling the strings. Ain't no real leaders, just thugs and they bling. Keep us divided, that's the ultimate plot. No matter who's in charge, we all just puppets getting shot, getting shot, getting shot, getting shot. Love who's in charge, we all just puppets getting shot, getting shot, getting shot, getting shot. Love who's in charge, we all just puppets. From the left and the right, it's a puppet parade. While the rich keep us fighting, they just cash in the fade. All the world's a stage and we play our part, but the real masterminds just laughing at the art. So wake the fuck up, stop playing the fool. They divide and conquer while we drown in the pool. We ain't gotta listen, rise up from the floor. Break the strings, burn the stage, we ain't taking no more. So when the curtain drops, we'll stand side by side. No more pulling the strings, we're done with this ride. In this Game of Thrones, we'll rewrite the script. Cause together united, we won't let it slip. We ballin' in the chaos, but they pulling the strings. Ain't no real leaders, just thugs and they bling. Keep us divided, that's the ultimate plot. No matter who's in charge, we all just puppets getting shot. Who's in charge, we all just puppets getting shot. Who's in charge, we all just puppets getting shot. Who's in charge, we all just puppets getting shot.